Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. And Nvidia have just had their earnings report, which I have listened to. I've made my notes and I have made this video for you, and I'm getting it out straight away. So yeah, overall it's quite positive, but I'm going to go through the market reaction, the earnings per share and revenue against its expectations, segment revenue breakdown, the issues that Nvidia are facing, the positives that we can take away from the call, and finally Jensen's comments. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. Before we get started, please remember that nothing in this video is said as financial advice. It is purely for information purposes only, and before investing in any stocks you should do your own research, and your capital is at risk, so be prepared to lose any money that you do invest. So if we start off the market reaction, after hours it has gone up to $140 per share, which is a 4% increase. It did sit around 142 for a while, but as the earnings call went on, it slowly came back down. But 140 is a good level to sit at, I think. Be interesting to see if that is sustained when the market opens tomorrow. Obviously this is just the live reaction. So if we jump into the earnings per share and revenue against the performance versus expectations, earnings per share beat expectations by 28%, so they had 96 cents earnings per share against a projected of 0.75, and revenue beat by 2%, so they just had over 44 billion in revenue when they were expected to get 43.25 billion, so that is quite positive. If we move on to the year over year, earnings per share is up 57% and revenue is up 69%, so continued financial growth, and it is quite strong financial growth. I don't think you expect anything less from Nvidia. But yeah, if we move on to segment revenue breakdown, I've got all these on my notes. So data center revenue was 22.6 billion in total, which was up 73% year over year. Computer revenue was 17.6 billion alone, whilst networking revenue was 5 billion alone. As you can see, the growth on that is both quite high, so 76% growth for computer, 56% growth in networking. The gaming sector, unlike AMD, was up, and it was up by 42%, so they had a revenue of 3.8 billion. Now if we look into this further, this was a record quarter for gaming revenue. They expect continued growth in quarter two. The GeForce is now the largest customer blueprint when it comes to gaming, and they stated that the Nintendo Switch 2 leverages Nvidia AI and specialized chips, which is also massive news because I believe the Switch is one of the best, if not the best selling console that is out there. So that's very positive news for the gaming sector, and as I said, continued growth, so that should keep growing. Hopefully they show AMD that it is possible. Professional visualization had a revenue of 3.8 billion, which was up 19%. Now they did state that this was down a little bit due to tariffs and customers were more cautious. If I got that wrong, I do apologize, but that is how I interpreted on the call. And then the automotive industry had a revenue of 0.6 billion, which is pennies in comparison, but still brilliant, as the revenue was up 72% year over year. They kept saying that AI, I mean, it's true, AI is going to be in every factory, every manufacturing hub, so they expect that to continue growing as more companies start to adopt AI into the manufacturing process because of the efficiencies it can create. So that is very positive. If we move on to the issues faced, now we do have a few issues for Nvidia, but I think this was expected. It's not being all plain sailing. So they incurred a 4.5 billion charge in quarter one due to the H20 licensing requirements, and they were unable to ship 2.5 billion due to export control rules. So they couldn't get the products out of China and they couldn't get any way around it. So that is quite a big issue. China data center revenue is down and expected to decrease in quarter two. Now, I'm sure that was expected by shareholders, but obviously it's not nice to hear that. They did also say that the Chinese AI market was a $50 billion sized market, and that is closed to the USA. They also stated that half of AI agents and everything associated is in China, so they need a plan for that. They currently don't have any way to get around it, so that was quite a big challenge. And the H20 license requirements will hit Nvidia's earnings for Q2 by 8 billion, and I believe they are projected to have a revenue of 45 billion, so that is quite a big hit. So yeah, not good. They also stated that DeepSeek was one of the best models due to reasoning AI, which is what they use, and this is resource intensive, which drives up token usage. So really, if DeepSeek is adopted further in the world, or just even further by China, they need to be able to get into that market, otherwise they're missing out on a big chunk of the AI market. If we move on to positives from the call, there was still quite a lot of positives, so I just thought I'd get the issues out of the way. So they returned 14.3 billion to shareholders in Q1. This was through buybacks and dividends. They have stated that sovereign AI is a new growth sector that will emerge. So every company now sees AI as the next industrial revolution. They have stated things like your electricity, that was a big thing that now countries can't go without. The internet, the information age, was also the next thing that countries now can't do without. So they're saying that going forward, AI is going to be the next thing that countries can't go without. So that's quite positive. It won't offset the loss that they're going to have from not having the Chinese market, but at least there's more growth coming. They have stated that the deals Trump announced in the Middle East is positive for America, and Nvidia share Trump's vision of domestic production. So they've made substantial investments in companies building factories in America. I think TSM's building about 6. They mentioned other companies, but they were speaking too fast, if I'm honest, for me to note it down. They aim to build supercomputers in America within a year. Obviously, if they're building them within America, it's cheaper distribution costs for American companies. There's no import duties or anything. But yeah, if we move on to Jensen's comments, he has stated that Chinese AI moves on with or without USA chips. So he has suggested that they do the best to try and come to a resolution to allow Nvidia to continue selling chips to China, because at the end of the day, they'll find a way around the China. They'll produce their own chips. It doesn't really matter if they have access or not. So getting access earlier will stop China from moving away. They stated that shielding China chip makers strengthens China's position globally and weakens America's position. He said the US leadership is at stake if we continue to let China have this advantage over the global market. Jensen also said that the US should remain at the top by collaborating globally, and he thinks this is key. But he has also stated that Trump has a plan and he trusts him. So whilst he is pushing for things to be better for the company, he has a lot of trust in Trump and where he's going with his policies. So that's quite good. It will also possibly favour him if Trump gets tighter on some companies. And finally, if we move on to Q2 outlook, they expect the revenue of $45 billion. They did state that data center growth will be offset by the loss of Chinese customers. And finally, they expect better profitability from their Blackwell chip. So a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to the Q2 outlook. But overall positive, I would like to say. But yeah, that has been a summary of how Nvidia performed in Q1 of the 2025 financial year. Let me know what you think. Obviously, I've gone over that quite quick. This is my immediate reaction and information from the earnings call. Let me know what you think if you are an investor, and leave a like if you've enjoyed. Subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.